I'm like, God, I want to believe this. Even during worship, I'm like, we believe this. I might believe this with all my heart, because if I believe this, it changes everything. It should change everything. And I believe it, like I believe it in here, but my whole heart, I want it. Zephaniah chapter 3, some of you are familiar with this, starting in verse 14. Okay, this verse 14, he gives some commands. Sing aloud, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel. Rejoice and exult with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Now, honestly, we're not very good at this, okay? Sing aloud. We're not good at singing loud. I'm just saying, in our church, in our nation, you go to Brazil, you go to Africa, you go, some of these places, and it is just, they are screaming. I mean, it is just, it's amazing. You see the joy on their face when it says, rejoice and exult with all your heart. Okay, what would it look like if you rejoiced and exulted with all of your heart? Okay, I get it. This is some of it is just our culture, right? In America, we want to be cool. We want to be reserved. We don't want people looking at us. We're very self-conscious. And so everyone's kind of, the safe thing to do is to sit back. If you just kind of sit back, you don't make a fool of yourself. You don't make a spectacle of yourself. So we just feel like that's the safe thing to do, is I'm not going to look like a fool. So you just kind of sit there and don't show too much. This is just our culture. This is the way we are raised, but this is not the scriptures. And I'm telling you, I've had to fight this. There have been times, I remember the first time I preached in Australia, okay? And I'm telling you, everyone in the room is just out of control, jumping to the music, screaming. And I'm just like, I just couldn't do it. I was raised real conservative Chinese, on doing my homework. It's just jumping up and down, screaming. And I was the only one in the room. I'm like, oh, this feels so awkward. This is so not me. I mean, certain countries, it's like they've got this down. And it was interesting, there have been a few times lately where I'm just saying, God, I just want to be humble. I want to be humble, because you say, humble yourself and in the sight of the Lord, and he'll exalt you. It says he gives grace to the humble. And I'm going, God, I want to bless these people. I want to see your grace in this room. So I'm just going to try to be as humble as possible. And by the end of the night, I was on the stage with the worship team. I'm jumping up and down, screaming, and realizing, wow, God, you did it. This is the most humble thing I could do. To just forget about myself, how I appear, and just worship you with all of my heart, exalt you in worship. And as I was jumping down and screaming and, dancing around the stage, I'm going, wow, this is the most humiliating thing I didn't even realize it. God, you answered my prayer. You humbled me. And we don't normally think of a God, as being humble. But that's exactly it, because it's just, God, I don't care. I am so crazy about you. I am so blown away by everything you've done in my life. I'm going to celebrate you. And that's what he's saying here. He goes, I want you to exult. I want you to scream. I want you to shout, O Israel, O daughter of Jerusalem. Why? Because the next verse, verse 15, the Lord has taken away the judgments against you. Man. Okay, if we really understood that we were by nature objects of wrath, if you knew how to dissect that passage and go, I was by very nature an object for God to pour his wrath upon me because I've done some disgusting things, I've said some horrible things, I've thought some just perverted, evil, just cruel things, murderous thoughts. I deserve the wrath of God. I am by nature an object of wrath, but God, being rich, because I have a God who is rich in mercy, because of this great love with which he loved me, that when I was a sinner, he made us alive together with Christ. By grace, we've been saved. I mean, if I understood that, and he's just removed all that judgment from me, then I would sing aloud. I would shout. I would rejoice. I would exult with all my heart. The Lord has taken away the judgments against you, and he has cleared away your enemies. The King of Israel, the Lord, is in your midst. You shall never again fear evil.